Hello and welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, the programme which over the next 30 minutes aims to answer all of your questions on holidays, cruising and travel in general. But first, here's how you can get in touch with your questions. Our website is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Just click on Programmes, select the Clinic page and submit your question online. If you want to email direct, it's clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, and we'd welcome your postcards and letters as well to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. And whilst you're getting in touch, if you'd like a copy of our first time guide to cruising, here it is, then just give us a call on 0871 423 4444. Calls cost just 10p a minute from a BT landline, and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Very useful document, full of easy questions and useful information, frequently asked questions about what happens when the ship's in port. For example, do I have to get off? What about tipping? And what type of cabin shall I choose? Your free guide to cruising, there it is. Just give us a call and a copy will be winging its way to you. Now, let's have a look at a particular country that is filled with colour, charm and adventure. It's South Africa, a destination that is becoming more and more popular for British holidaymakers. And here to give us an insight, as well as answering your questions, is Tamara Bligh from bookme2.co.uk. Tamara, welcome along.
Thank you.
Now, you're talking from personal experience, and I guess we'll judge from your accent in a little while. Some words pop through, don't they, as being South African?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
You've been in the UK for a little bit of time now, but you can tell all our answers and all your experiences from personal experiences,
Of
can't
course,
you?
yes.
Okay, brilliant. Let's start with getting there. Let's look at the basic stuff then. The flight to South Africa, how long does it take?
If flying direct from London to Johannesburg International, it's about 11.5 hours. If you're flying direct to Cape Town from London, you're looking at about 12 hours, and that's a direct flight.
Okay, that's a fairly long flight. Are they the most popular destinations to fly to?
Yes, in South Africa, those are the two major airports, but there is a third one, which is Durban International as well.
And if you're going to South Africa, then how does the time difference work? Because will you be losing time when you go or gaining time?
Well, you'll lose an hour in the British summertime and 2 hours in the winter time. So no real jet lag there.
No jet lag. That's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, which is brilliant. So even though it's a long flight, you know, you feel fresh as a daisy when you get there.
Hopefully you can arrive fresh and get on with your sightseeing or visit your friends and relatives.
Yes.
Many airlines that you can choose from to fly to South Africa?
Yes, in general, there's about 70 international carriers throughout the world that fly to South Africa. But from the UK, you have at least 10 to choose from, so there's plenty of variety there.
Okay, well, you mentioned flying from London. What about if you live in other parts of the UK?
There are quite a few airlines that will fly from the likes of Manchester, Newcastle and Edinburgh, but there are actually a couple now that actually fly from smaller airports like Norwich and Bristol. So if you look into that, you know, there are plenty to choose from. Okay,
that's good, because getting to London sometimes is a little difficult, very busy, so if you can have that regional option, all the better. Yes,
I mean, obviously, if you're flying from Manchester or Edinburgh, you could take the shuttle down to London and then get the international flight from there. But if you're flying, say, from Norwich, the airlines that carry will either take you to the Middle East or via the European hub and then down to South Africa. So you just have a small stop over there.
Okay, let's talk about the paperwork for a little bit. Obviously we'll need a passport to go, but what about a visa, things like that? Do we need anything special?
UK passport holders don't need a visa to enter South Africa at this present moment in time. However, if you are living in the UK and do have a different nationality passport, I would recommend contacting the South African Embassy to get all the up-to-date information on visas.
Okay, yeah, it's all this preparation thing, isn't it, before you go with the case with any holiday or cruise?
Of course, yeah, you just definitely have to make sure that everything's in place.
Okay. Vaccines and medication. Now, you know, the climate's lovely, it's hot and sunny a lot of the time, isn't it? You get some nice seasons. But is there anything we need to vaccinate against or take medication with us for mosquitoes, for example?
Well, generally you don't need any vaccinations to enter South Africa, nothing mandatory. It is recommended that you just make sure that your polio and tetanus is up to date. You normally have that when you're a child anyway, so that's normally fine. But if you're travelling to the Northern Province, the Northern Cape, or Mpumalanga regions with the Kruger National Park, you will need to take malaria tablets, or get advice from your GP to make sure if you're going into those regions, because of the animals and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Anywhere that's slightly out of the norm then, where you've got animals roaming around or you're away from built-up areas.
That's right. In the bushveld, you generally do need malaria.
Have you been to all these places?
I haven't been to the Kruger Park. I'd love to go. But yeah, I've been up to Johannesburg and all up the coast, Durban, Garden Route and Cape Town.
So it's quite a diverse country, isn't it, really?
Yes, it's very, very vast. It's massive. There's plenty of things to see. You definitely, it will suit any type of holiday maker.
Are we likely to be able to get an idea of the country if we're just going for 2 weeks, because it is so big? Compared to the UK, for example, how many UKs can we fit into South Africa?
Oh, about 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it is massive. If you do want to explore most of South Africa, I would recommend air travel between the major cities and then hire a car. If you want to see Cape Town and Johannesburg and Kruger Park, I would recommend flying between the major cities and then hiring a car when you get to the cities.
Because the climate is, possibly the climate is different, that's what I want to ask you basically, because the country is so vast, are there varying climates there?
There are, yes. Cape Town and the southwestern region tends to have a Mediterranean climate, so obviously very hot summers and cool but wet winters. If you go up to Durban, it's more of a subtropical climate, and then Johannesburg and the bushveld tends to have hot summers, also quite crisp and cold winters, but in the summertime it does tend to rain. They get thunderstorms in the afternoon, so yeah, but generally Durban is the area for all year round climate for, beach holidays, if you will.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, because it is quite diverse, is it one of these countries where you can go skiing in the morning, sunbathe in the afternoon, swim in the sea and be relatively warm?
Yeah, depending where you are, probably, Johannesburg, you could probably maybe see a bit of snow in the winter time, and then go for a bush safari, go and see all that.
Without having the need for a helicopter to take you from one place to the other.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best time to visit then? It's obviously, as you say, quite diverse weather-wise. Is there a particular time, maybe during the summer holidays, that are good to go? South
Africa is an all-year-round destination. Obviously, it does also depend kind of where you want to go. But there's plenty to do. If you want a beach holiday, I'd recommend that you go in the British winter time, so South African summertime. If you want to go on safari, I would recommend maybe going in the British summertime, South African winter time, because that's your best chance of seeing the game and the big five.
Okay. The big five are
basically your lions, your rhinos, your elephants, your leopards and your buffalo. Those are the big five in South Africa.
Okay, and all readily available, are they? You don't have to search too far for them?
No, not if you're in the game park, no, and especially in the in South African winter time, you've got a better chance of seeing all of them if you travel then, because obviously they tend to be quite quieter in the summer, obviously due to the summer heat and stuff, so you would have to go later on in the evening, maybe do like an early evening safari.
Have you done the safari then?
I haven't. I would love to do it.
I think it must be absolutely fantastic to see.
Fantastic, yes.
One of those things that, well, you're lucky, you see, because you've got lots of connections in South Africa, so you can just pop back.
That's right.
And say, hello, I'm back.
Definitely.
I can see that's on your mind. Yeah. Okay, let's just wrap up this bit by talking a little bit about the finances then. We're quite used to the euro if we're going to Europe for a holiday, but this is obviously a little bit further, even though the time difference is brilliant. What about the currency exchange rate?
Well, South Africa, they use the rand and cents. At the moment, you're looking at about 10 rand to every pound, so it is an excellent exchange rate. So for those of our customers that would like to go and visit South Africa, it's excellent value for money, and you'll definitely have a wonderful time spending your pound over there.
Yeah, really, that sounds excellent, but obviously it only works well if you go out to a restaurant and it's a good price, or a beer is only £1 or something like that. Is that the way it works?
No, well, generally on average, a beer is going to cost you £1.50. You know, in most restaurants, that's the average price for a bottle of beer. An average glass of wine, £2.50. So.
And to eat out, what would you be talking about there for an average cost per head, maybe?
About £25 per head, depending obviously where you eat, but I'd recommend a good steak restaurant.
I'm sure you could recommend several restaurants, but I think we'll probably have to talk about that another time.
Yes.
Tamara, thanks very much for joining us so far.
Thank you.
Time for us to take a short break now, but do stay with us because we'll be talking to Tamara again and sharing more of South Africa in a few moments. Hello there and welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, the programme which gives you the opportunity to quiz our travel experts. And if you have a question, then here's how to get in touch. Our website is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Just click on Programmes, select the clinic page and submit your question online. If you want to email us directly, it's clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. And we'd also welcome your postcards and letters to us directly here. The Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool L22 5NG. And if you're on holiday, send us a postcard. And don't forget, if you'd like our first time guide to cruising, here it is, then just give us a call on 0871 423 4444. Calls cost 10p a minute from BT landlines and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Full of useful information, everything you wanted to know about cruising but were too afraid to ask. Copy can be yours by just giving us a call. Now though, let's get back to today's clinic, and Tamara Bligh from bookme2.co.uk is still with me and we're discussing South Africa. Tamara, learning a lot about an interesting country.
Yes.
Hotels, often a place where a lot of us stay in when we go on holiday. I presume there is a varied selection of hotels in South Africa.
There is plenty to choose from, and all the hotels are absolutely fantastic, world class. They offer all the amenities that you would expect to find, the likes of restaurants and obviously all your little shampoos and everything in the rooms, and obviously excellent butler service as well, taking your cases up to your room and everything like that. So
whatever we're used to as a particular standard in this country, that's going to be very much the same?
Of course, yes.
Okay, and if we're talking about 10 rand to a pound, you were saying?
Yeah.
Then we should be able to get a good rate for our hotel, should we?
Definitely. Yeah, they're all very good value for money, even if you want to stay in a 5 or a 4-star hotel.
Yeah,
they're all very good
but you've
value.
got the range and the diversity from the 5 stars to the entry level, have you?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to go for a hotel, do they do things like B&B in South Africa as well?
Yes, bed and breakfast, guest houses, anything like that, just normal chalets if you want to stay in a little chalet, bungalow, caravans, everything like that.
Self-catering? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant, good. Well, we'll talk a little bit about food and self-catering in a few moments, but if you're travelling around, and we discussed the fact that South Africa, you could get almost, 4 UKs into South Africa?
Yes.
It's quite a big country. So the best way to travel around, you did mention about flying to some of the major cities, but what other options are there?
Well, you could do a self-drive type holiday, so obviously hire a car, and obviously that way you can see most of the country, which would obviously be great if you have a lot more time on your hands. Also maybe get a coach, coach travel, and obviously the trains as well. They're all first class, so definitely worth.
Okay, and they run on time, do they? And they've got a good route system to choose from.
Yes, well, with the World Cup last year, everything's been jacked up a bit, so everything's working right now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It sounded like a fantastic time to be in South Africa last year, but never an opportunity not to be missed to go again. What about malaria? I think it's often a problem for people, and if you go to a hot country, say you want to go and see some game, for example, you've got to take these horrible malaria tablets. It's not great, really, but obviously the sacrifice there to see these wonderful animals in their natural habitat. But what about if you were to go to a game park in a malaria-free zone? Does one exist?
Yes, that is an excellent option, for people that obviously either allergic to malaria tablets, can't take them for whatever reason, or pregnant or travelling with children. There are malaria-free zones in the Western Cape, and also up the Eastern Cape as well, so up towards Port Elizabeth. There are 3 major ones, but there are various other ones as well to choose from.
Is that just because of the natural geography that the mozzies don't come having a look, or
that's right? Yeah. Yes, and obviously the climate as well in those particular regions is different to what you would find in the Kruger Park and those game reserves which are up in Mpumalanga region.
That's really good. I mean, I'm lucky they tend to leave me alone. You can see why. But,
oh, that's good.
I know some people have a really bad time with them, so if there is a free zone, that's absolutely fantastic. You've got some personal experience of South Africa. Obviously, you spent a lot of time there.
Yes.
Growing up, didn't you? But so you can tell us some of the best tours to do then, can't you, really?
Yeah.
Where would we start?
Starting further south in Cape Town, I would definitely recommend maybe going up Table Mountain. You know, for those of you that would want to see the whole of Cape Town from that beautiful view. Obviously, you can see Table Mountain from almost every point in Cape Town as well, so that's excellent. That
sounds quite tiring. There aren't steps all the way up, are there?
Oh no, it's actually a cable car, which actually rotates 360 degrees, so you can see right around, which is brilliant.
Yikes.
It fits about 60 people in it as well, so it takes quite a few people up at a time.
Is it quite high?
It's very high.
Okay, so we've gone up Table Mountain, but it's worth going up because of the view.
Definitely. Also, for those of you that are interested in a bit of history, maybe doing a trip to Robben Island from the waterfront in Cape Town. That's very interesting. Obviously, that's where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated. A trip to the winelands is definitely never something that you should miss.
If we were going to go to the winelands, what sort of journey time do we need to leave? You know, say we were building an itinerary from this country. Is it a day trip or an overnight stop? Or
a day trip, you can do them overnight if you want to, but definitely a day's plenty of time. Usually if you're doing a tour from your hotel, they'll pick you up first thing in the morning, and they'll usually take you to 2 or 3 of the major winelands and then bring you back in the evening. So a day's plenty of time.
And are you an expert on the South African wines? And
oh yes.
I thought so. Okay, a couple of other things to perhaps bear in mind for things that we want to organise before we go, maybe for tours and things like that. What would you suggest?
Maybe go on the websites, have a look. You know, obviously there are loads of tours available depending where you're going to be. Definitely have a look how long you want to spend in each particular place. There is just so much to do, so obviously highlight what you would prefer to do. That's my main recommendation.
Yeah, just have a look through. Plenty of information available online through the Tourism Authority, I would imagine.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Okay. Shopping, let's talk about that for a little bit. I'm not suggesting anything at all, but I'm sure you must know where the best shopping is in Cape Town, for example.
Oh yes, the V&A waterfront. You can't...
So.
Yeah, absolutely second to none. Obviously all your designer labels, there's local labels as well. Obviously that's if you want to go clothing shopping, but for those people that want to go out there to experience a bit more South African you know, souvenirs, there's plenty of them as well, so you can buy all your friends.
What's the clothing style like there if we were to leave some room in our cases to bring stuff back? You know, is it going to be, because obviously it won't be European, will it? Is it particularly different?
Not really. I mean, there's a lot of American labels over there, but generally because South Africa tend to be a season behind, you know, but obviously if you just want T-shirts and things like that, you can definitely get them everywhere.
Okay, T-shirts, shorts.
Yes.
So would it be better, because the exchange rate is very good currently, that you actually didn't really need to take as much with you? You could actually buy it there quite cheaply.
I would recommend so, yes. And obviously you're paying VAT over there, so you can actually claim that back. Yes,
I was going to ask you about that. So do you know what the rate of VAT is?
It's 14% VAT that you pay, but you on departure from your airport or port, you can actually claim that back.
If you were to do that, just out of interest, how much do we need to leave extra time coming back to the airport or anything to do that, or is it just a paper exercise?
It is a paper exercise, but they do like to see all the items that you are trying to claim back for, so I would recommend a little bit of extra time before you do that.
Okay, brilliant. Food, a subject very close to my heart, and we've done a lot of things in South Africa so far, talked about a lot of things. The food styles, what are they like? You know, we're very fussy about our food in the UK, aren't we? We
Yes.
may not necessarily like to try too many new things. What can we expect if we eat in South Africa?
Well, there are a lot of, you know, your normal type European restaurants, Italian, Greek, all those types of things, your fish restaurants, and obviously steak is a big thing over there. But there are obviously traditional restaurants as well. Some of you might like a bit of what we call boerewors, which is sausage, which is normally bride, which is our term for barbecued. You can get something called bunny chow, which is curry stuffed in half a loaf of bread, which is hollowed out. That's something different if you want to try that. Vet cook's also something traditional as well. It's like dough balls, fried dough balls, which can also be stuffed with curry as well, or just buttered with jam.
Okay,
Yeah.
so enjoy the kind of food that you always do when you're in South Africa, but don't forget to try a few more new things as well. Any particularly recommended restaurants that you'd like to tell us about?
My favourite restaurant is the Cattle Baron. It's a steak restaurant, but they serve mostly meats, ribs, that type of thing. It's absolutely fantastic, the juiciest steaks ever. If you're into sushi and fish, that type of thing, at the V&A waterfront there's a restaurant called Willoughby's. That's fantastic for that type of environment.
Okay.
And that type of food.
And we can get all our last minute souvenirs and things like that on the airport, at the airport on the way back. Just a little bit about, very briefly, about safety and crime. What do we need to bear in mind when we're visiting the country?
Obviously, always be vigilant wherever you go, like you would be, you know, in the UK, obviously. Don't go into areas that you're not aware of or that are dark and unlit, anything like that. If you are doing a self-drive holiday, I'd recommend just keeping your car doors locked at all times and keeping valuables out of sight, perhaps in the boot or, you know, underneath there. Definitely, but as far, you know, everything else, just be vigilant and be aware of your surroundings and where you are at all times.
Okay, brilliant, Tamara. Good advice. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks to Tamara Bligh there from bookme2.co.uk. And don't forget, if you have a question for Tamara or any of our travel experts, all you have to do is get in touch. Here's the website detail, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Just click on Programmes, select the Clinic page and submit your question online. Email us direct by doing clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. That's clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, or traditional postcards and letters to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. And don't forget, if you'd like our first time guide to cruising, here it is now, then just give us a call on 0871 423 4444. It's everything you wanted to know about cruising, but we're too afraid to ask. Calls just cost 10p a minute from a BT landline, and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Well, that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. Remember, we're here for you, so do please get in touch. Until next time, from myself and all the team, goodbye.